Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nix and today I'm going to be telling you about the grand total of 4 books that I read in the month of November. So 4 books in a month isn't my best, but I'm still happy with it. It's still at least 1 book a week, which is fine. And also I want to make it known that one of these books, and the first book that I'll be talking about, is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros, and this is the second book in the Fourth Wing series. If you're anywhere online or in the bookish community, you've probably seen Fourth Wing at least once and seen the hype that it has gotten, and this is the much anticipated sequel to that. And I personally loved this. I know it has its flaws just like Fourth Wing did, and a lot of people, you know, didn't enjoy it as much as they did the first book. I was not one of those people. I really love this installment, and I did do a reading vlog for this one, but I didn't end up posting it. This one at first I gave 5 out of 5 stars, but I think I'm gonna bump it down to like a 4.5 out of 5 stars, just because the more I sort of think about it after my initial excitement about this book, the more I sort of kind of recognize where it could have been a lot better. But in saying that, I mean, I can't talk about this book without spoiling it, so I'm not going to. This took me through so many emotions. There was so much stuff that happened throughout this book and in these, like, what, 600 pages, that just blew me away and blew my mind completely. I think this honestly put me in a little bit of a reading slump for November, just because anything that I was picking up, even if I could recognize that it was like good and I was liking it, it could not compare. And like, I tried to read One Dark Window, and I'm still planning on finishing this and I'm enjoying it more now, but in November I only got like 66 pages into this and it just wasn't doing it for me at the time. But in that same breath, I think this is something I'm really gonna like, and so I want to properly like give this a chance when I'm not so like hungover from the events that happened in this book. So oh my god, it definitely raised a lot more questions, and now we're gonna have to wait, I'm assuming, at least like another year for the next book, because this one was quite rushed out like straight after Fourth Wing, which I'm kind of surprised by, and I feel like they could have probably pushed it out like even a year later and it still would have capitalized on the hype. I'm stressed, okay? If you have read this book, you know why I'm stressed. I had so many emotions. This was a lot to deal with. But after that, because obviously I was struggling with some fantasy romance, because that's what I was in the mood for, but I don't know, I don't think it was doing it for me at the time, or like nothing else could. And so I picked up a contemporary romance, and so I picked up Wildfire by Hannah Grace. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. I was originally really loving this one, like even more than Icebreaker, and I was gonna give this like a 4.5 out of 5 stars, but then I don't know whether it was because of Iron Flame or whether it was just like the book or what was going on, but I feel like this was just sort of starting to drag a little bit from like the middle to the end. The beginning I really loved, like the first half, amazing. I really enjoyed it. I just love the way that Hannah Grace writes characters, and you know, how she gets the characters together and how there's never any like miscommunication between them. Like, that's just not a thing that she does. If there was any miscommunication between Aurora and Russ, who are the main 2 characters in this book, it was talked about straight away, and I feel like you don't often see that in romance novels, and so I really appreciated that. I really love both of the characters in this book. I don't think I've explained what this book is about. I've been doing that a lot today, but this is about Russ, who was in the previous Icebreaker book, and Aurora, who have a one-night stand and they think they're never going to see each other again, but then they do. They end up working at the same summer camp, and there's, you know, like a no fraternization policy between staff members, so there's sort of like that, I want to say like forbidden aspect to it, but it's not really forbidden, if that makes sense. But it was really fun to read about with the camp setting and the outdoorsy setting, and just reading about how these two ended up sort of getting to know each other more after their initial first meeting. And it was just really cute. And like, while the second half ended up dragging and getting a little bit boring for me, I still really enjoyed this overall. Ross is also a hockey player, but like there's no hockey in this as well. So just a heads up, this isn't a sports romance, but yeah, really good. I did enjoy it. And then after that, I ended up reading The 100 Loves of Juliet. I listened to this mostly on audio. I thought this would be a nice sort of in-between between a high-stakes fantasy and like a more modern-day romance. And I mean, I suppose it technically was, because this is technically a fantasy romance. I was incredibly bored reading this. I do have a reading vlog coming out where I read this one soon as well. And I ended up giving this one a 2, maybe even like a 1.5 out of 5-star rating. This is a kind of modern day Romeo and Juliet retelling. Romeo is like a real character in here as well, or like a real person. And so he just doesn't age. He is immortal. And he ends up meeting reincarnations of Juliet, or in this case, Helene, over and over again throughout his lives. So I thought it sounded really interesting. I was really intrigued with the sort of like timey-wimey aspect of it, and just like the reincarnation as well of like these sort of forbidden lovers. And it just wasn't what I was hoping for. I think my biggest disappointment with this was just like how it was written and the chemistry between the characters. It just was sort of non-existent, if I'm being honest. Like, you get all of these flashbacks throughout the book, and I know it was meant to add more to the story, but they felt really repetitive after a while. Like, they all felt like they were just the same story, just in different settings and places throughout time, which I guess is the point of it. But it just wasn't very fun to read. I really wanted to love this, and especially with the author's note as well. The author's note is very emotional, and you can tell that this was a very, very personal story to the author. But at the end of the day, I still just did not enjoy this at all, and it was dragging on a bit. I just double checked as well, and I actually ended up giving this book a 1 out of 5-star rating, not a 2-star, so my bad. But I really, really wanted to love this, and I feel like it was a 2-star rating for a while. But then the ending of this book, I still don't understand what I read to this day. Like, so much random shit happened. It felt like a really bad, cheesy action movie, but only in the last 50 pages. Like, there were like hacking scenes and like martial arts scenes, and it was just unhinged. And it dropped it down to a solid 1-star read for me. And I think I was meant to feel anxious about whether, you know, the characters live or die throughout this, but I just did not care at all throughout this book. And so yeah, the ending of this was just, I want to erase it from my brain. It was just really bad. And that, on top of an already sort of mediocre book, this was just not it for me, unfortunately. Thankfully, after that though, I ended up reading another 5-star read, and I love this book so much. I'm so happy I read this, and that is Checkmate by Ali Hazelwood. I was not expecting to love this as much as I did. Honestly, this wasn't even really on my radar at first, because I don't read a lot of YA contemporary or like YA romance now. I'm just not the demographic anymore, and that's okay. But I ended up seeing some reviews for this where people were raving about it, and they really, really liked it, and they've also read Ali Hazelwood's other stuff. So I'm like, maybe I'll give it a chance, and I picked it up. And dare I say that this is my favorite Ali Hazelwood book? Like, I loved this so much. I think it is some of her best writing, some of her best work, best characters. It was just so well done. This is about Mallory, who quit chess when she was 14. She loved playing up until from the time that she was a child up until the age of 14, and then she ends up accidentally sort of getting back into it when she's 18. Her friend invites her to take part in this chess tournament, and then Mallory ends up accidentally beating the world's best chess player, who is Nolan, and he ends up becoming the love interest in this book as well. And then we see sort of Mallory be catapulted into the chess world, and she discovers that tournaments can make her a bit of money and whatnot on the side as well to help support her family, because she is sort of the main breadwinner for the family as well, and we learn why later on. I just really loved the family dynamic in here, in particular, like with the sisters and the mum. I have a vlog of me reading this as well, and I was literally crying. Like, it wasn't even a sad scene, but I was crying so much because of like the relationship between the sisters. Oh my god, I loved it. I'm gonna cry now just thinking about it. I love the relationship between Nolan and Mallory as well. Like, Nolan is just like a really beautiful love interest. I really liked him, and I really like Mallory as a character as well. Like, she is very inherently flawed, and there is some stuff that she does that is not good, but I ended up loving her character and the other characters for their flaws and all of their complexities, and they were just really well rounded and beautifully written as well. And I loved this book so much, and I did not expect this to be my favorite Ali Hazelwood book, because I've loved her books in the past, and you know, they've always been like a 4 or 4.5 star read for me. Like, they've always been a fun time with themes that she tries to tackle in each book in the STEM world. And I expected this to sort of be the same just with chess, and I suppose it was in a way, but I don't know, there was just something about her characters and the relationships in here that I think were just like a step up from her other like adult romance books. And I want to make it clear, this is YA, so there's no spice in here. It is all like fade to black, but I loved it. I thought it was really well done, and this is a really pleasant surprise for me. I am so happy I decided to give this a chance. I'm gonna leave it there. Let me know down in the comments below what you ended up reading in November, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below as well. It would really help me out. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day or night wherever you are, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.